The motel sign was still flickering when we pulled in. Half the letters didn't light up. The parking lot was empty. The office door creaked. My 2 sons were asleep in the back seat. We had nowhere else to go. 3 hours earlier, my husband had looked me in the eyes and said the words I never expected to hear after 10 years of marriage. "You're useless." Then he pointed toward the stairs where our boys were sleeping. "Take them. Go live in that motel." He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. What he didn't know, what none of them knew, was that my father had left something inside that motel that would change everything. Not money, not gold, a letter, and a plan. My name is Emma. I'm 34 years old. 3 weeks before that night, my father passed away. He was not a dramatic man. He was quiet, careful, methodical, the kind of man who read every document twice before he signed his name. So when the lawyer called us in for the will, I expected his usual precision. My sister Olivia sat straight across the table, confident, her husband holding her hand like they had already won something. My husband sat beside me. He didn't look at me once. The lawyer opened the file. "The downtown apartment complex will go to Olivia." My sister smiled immediately. Her husband squeezed her hand. Then, "The Sunset Highway Motel will go to Emma." Silence! Someone cleared their throat. My sister tried to hide her smile. My husband didn't try at all. My father always read everything twice. He never made a careless decision in his life. I should have remembered that before I let their laughter reach me. That evening, Olivia and her husband came for dinner. Halfway through the meal, my husband raised his glass. "Well," he said, looking at my sister, not at me. "At least one daughter got the real assets." Olivia laughed softly, chuckled her husband. Even my aunt smiled awkwardly. I forced a small smile. I told myself it didn't matter. It did. After everyone left, the house went quiet. I was clearing plates when Daniel finally spoke. "A motel." I didn't answer. "A broken highway motel," he continued. "It's still property," I said quietly. He turned toward me. "Your sister builds wealth. You inherit garbage." His words hit harder than I expected. I felt small. Then he said the thing I will never forget. "You're useless." A silence filled the room. He looked toward the stairs. "Take them. Go live in that motel. If that's where your father left you, go live there." My hands were shaking, but I didn't cry, not in front of him. I walked upstairs, packed clothes for my boys, and left. The highway was dark. My younger son asked from the back seat, "Mom?" "Just for a little while," I said. I didn't believe it myself. The smell hit me when I opened the office door. Old wood, dust, closed air. I found one room that looked cleaner than the others, wiped the beds with tissues, spread our jackets on top of the sheets. My kids were too tired to complain. They fell asleep quickly. I stood there watching them for a long time. This was not the life I had imagined. Not after 10 years of marriage. Not after helping build his business. Not after giving everything to a home that turned its back on me. Around midnight, I walked back to the front office. The power still worked. A small lamp glowed behind the counter. I sat in my father's old chair, old guest books, dusty folders, a broken clock on the wall. I started opening drawers. I don't know why. Maybe I was angry. Maybe I needed to understand why he left me this place. That's when I noticed it. Behind the front desk, near the wall, a small wooden house, less dusty, almost clean. That didn't make sense. No one had been here in months. A key hung on a small nail beside it. I froze. Why would my father leave a key in plain sight? My hand was shaking, not because I was scared of what was inside, because I was scared of finding nothing. If it was empty, then maybe the motel really was just garbage, and maybe my husband was right. I pushed the key into the lock. It turned easily, too easily, like it had been used not long ago. Inside the cabinet, no money, no gold, files, thick envelopes, a rolled-up map, a small metal box. I pulled out the map first. It was a land survey. The motel property was outlined in red. But something else was marked too. A blue line running across the back of the land. I didn't understand it yet. I opened one of the envelopes. Letters. From the city. From private companies. One name appeared again and again. A development company I had never heard of. One letter was dated just 3 months ago. My father was already sick by then. Why was he still receiving these letters? I kept reading. Proposed highway extension, future commercial zoning, redevelopment notice. My heart started beating faster. The next envelope had an offer letter inside. The number was more money than this motel could make in 10 years of full bookings. I sat down slowly. The motel wasn't valuable because of the rooms. It was valuable because of the land. The back of the property sat directly in the path of a new highway project. When that road was built, this quiet, empty motel would sit at the center of a major exit. Traffic, businesses, hotels, gas stations, everything. The letters showed the developers had already contacted my father. They wanted to buy the land. But every letter ended the same way. Offer declined. He never sold. Why? At the bottom of the cabinet, the small metal box. The key was already inside the first envelope, like he wanted me to open it in exactly this order. Inside was a single handwritten note. My hands felt weak as I unfolded it. Emma, it began. If you are reading this, then I am gone. I stopped breathing. I know what people will think when they see the will. Let them think it. I didn't give you the motel because it is small. I gave it to you because it is strong. I covered my mouth. The city will approve the highway project within the year. When that happens, this land will become more valuable than anything your sister received. He knew. He had planned this. He continued. You have always been patient. You read before you act. That is why this belongs to you. I sat in that dusty office in the middle of the night with my sons asleep down the hall, and I understood. The motel was not dying. It was waiting, and I was the only one who knew. The next morning, I called the city planning office. The highway extension project was approved last month, the woman said. Preliminary work starts in 4 months. That area will be rezoned for commercial use. I thanked her and ended the call. It wasn't just paper. It was real. That afternoon, I called the development company. Daniel from Horizon Developments answered. When I told him the previous owner had passed away, there was a pause. We are still very interested in that property, he said slowly. We scheduled a meeting for Friday. 3 days later, my husband called. Have you come to your senses? He asked. I looked at my kids playing in the empty parking lot. I won't need to, I said quietly. He didn't understand what I meant. Not yet. Retention hook. Friday morning, Daniel arrived with 2 other people. They didn't laugh at the motel. They didn't look disgusted. They looked very, very interested. We walked the property together. They measured the backland, took pictures, asked about access points. Then we sat in the office. Emma, Daniel said, folding his hands. Once the highway exit is completed, this becomes prime commercial land. I know, I said calmly. He smiled slightly. We are prepared to make an offer today. He slid a folder across the desk. The number inside made my chest tighten. It was more than my husband had earned in his entire life, more than my sister's yearly rental income, and this was just the first offer. I'll need 48 hours, I said. Of course, he replied. That evening, a message appeared in the family group chat. My sister had sent a restaurant photo. She was there with investors. My husband was there too. The caption said, "Celebrating real assets." I stared at it for a moment. Then I typed one message. Let's have dinner Sunday. My treat. Same restaurant. Same table. My sister looked confident. My husband barely looked at me. Settling into motel life? My sister asked with a smile. It's peaceful, I said. My husband leaned back. Ready to admit you made a mistake? I placed the folder on the table. Not really. My sister frowned. What's that? An offer, I said. For the motel. He laughed. Who would pay real money for that place? I slid the papers toward them. My sister's smile slowly disappeared. My husband stopped breathing for a second. He read the number twice. This isn't real, he said. It is, I replied calmly. And that's just the first offer. Silence covered the table. My sister whispered, That's more than my buildings are worth. Yes, I said softly. My husband looked at me differently now. Not with anger, not with pity, with shock. You knew? He asked. My father knew, I said. and he left it to me. The waiter arrived. "Is everything okay?" he asked. "Yes," I said, closing the folder. "Everything is finally okay." 2 months later, I signed the final deal. I didn't sell all of it. I kept a share in the development. The money secured my children's future. I filed for divorce the same week. This time, he didn't call me useless. He didn't laugh. He just asked if we could talk. But I had already heard everything I needed to hear the night he told me to leave. My sister stopped calling it just a motel. Today, when I drive past the construction site, I see cranes, steel frames rising, traffic building where silence used to be. The old sign is gone, but the land is still mine. My father didn't give me the smallest asset. He gave me the strongest one. And the night my husband told me to go live in that motel,